In this video, I'm back at Chevronics, where further improvement works are going on with Giselle the GSA. Delighted to be back. Rob, who owns Chevronics himself, is currently trying to sort out the fuel smell. Found a few missing pipes and deteriorating pipes in the breather system, which are accessed through the rear light here. Looks a whole heap of fun. We've also got to sort out the suspension leak, so we'll crack on with that in a bit. Have a bit of a chat with Rob about what Chevronics is.
We have got a bit of oil coming out of that one.
Yeah, that was notably damp when I was in there last time.
But that could be coming from the other side pushing over. I mean, you shouldn't get that amount come out.
Just trying to diagnose this suspension leak on this side of the GSA, which is causing a bit of dripping, as you can see. It's quite damp under here.
Yeah, this breather here, you don't normally see that amount of LHM through it, so I'm just wondering whether it's got a problem with the internal seals in the piston. Okay, let's have a look at the other side, I think. I mean, to be honest, it's probably the original gator, I think.
Yeah, but that is definitely...
But it's seeping.
A dodgy gator.
That one's okay, but it's obviously got a split around there, so we'll take this out and put another gator on this side. So when you're working on the suspension unit, the trouble you've got is the suspension arm's in the way. So a very easy thing to resolve that is just take the bump stop out. You've got two bump stops, one for maximum height and one for minimum. So you take the lower one out. By the time I take the one out on the other side, this will drop right down, so that you can gain access to it and pull it out.
That does make life easier. See, that's why you come to specialists, because they know things like that. They shouldn't really be telling us. This is their secret stuff.
There you go.
And there we go. You can see the wheels drop down.
You look at that view.
Yeah. And now you've got access to all the stuff you need to get at, the pipe release and whatnot. I must admit, the first time I looked underneath my GSA, I was just like, how do you even change the spheres? And you do actually have to take it out. When you
understand how they were put together, you know, you realise what a clever idea it is, and it just works.
Yeah.
Just you can't look at things and think, oh, I can't get to that. And a lot of the way we maintain them is, when a car comes in, you don't tend to just look at one item that needs doing. You do various jobs in that area whilst it's all apart. So you don't have that problem of the customer coming back with a similar problem, and then you've got to take it all apart again.
Is that the connector to
That's
the suspension?
Push rod. That's the push rod clip. Very common area where they seize up.
Okay.
And that came out beautifully, so that's good.
That's good, because this wasn't the side that was worked on last time.
And the pipe's coming out. When you not so much now, Ian, but when we were looking after these cars when they were almost everyday vehicles, when you're doing a job like this, they could just go completely wrong, because the pipes would break on you, the push rod wouldn't come out the clip, so you have to replace the push rod, the pipe, sometimes the actual suspension unit itself, and you know, a small job could turn into quite a big job, and so you always have to be a bit cautious with the customer and say, well, it depends on how your suspension units come out before we quote.
So are things better because they're not doing the same sort of daily mileage?
They're not on salty roads.
Yeah.
They're, you know, one of the other vehicles that you struggle with this sort of thing is CXs. They were even worse, because there were tricks. If the pipes broke in the units, you could cut a couple of millimetres off the top of the boss and then wind them out with a rusty pipe end nut. You can't do that on a CX. So the CXs were a bit worse in that regard.
See, they all have their pros and cons. Incidentally, that's not Cecily. It looks like Cecily, my old C5 estate. But no, that's a very nice example in its own right. But yeah, look at the cars we've got Singer SM up there at the top. There's an exceedingly rare car. There's a Toyota Starlet being worked on here as well. Very low mileage, 21,000 miles. So Despite the fact this is a Peugeot Citroen specialist, you're never entirely sure what they're going to have in.
Put something under because it's going to, the LHM's going to soak out.
Oh yeah, there it goes.
Right, piston's out.
Feels slightly like it's trying to give birth to a suspension unit. There we go. That is the rear suspension unit.
That's, we can see it's got a split in it. So yeah, that's the suspension. That's the push rod. So we'll get this off, replace this gator, and then put it back in.
Excellent.
'Cause I don't think there's any problems with that.
No, hope not.
We're just going to replace this. Normally, these push rod clips are so rusty that they just break, or you just cut them off. Well, look at that; it's just undone so easily. So that's a sign of a decent car that's not seen a lot of salt or any salt.
No, I must admit, I do actually take Giselle off the road for the winter in Wales because it just gets horrendous.
It'll kill it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is normally something that you would just instantly replace at the same time as the gator. You wouldn't hesitate, but that's good. So that's the piston inside there. That's the little felt seal in there which lubricates the piston. Now on C5s they don't have that. Citroen Peugeot did away with this, which causes no end of trouble because you need that to lubricate the end of the piston. And because they left it out, the bottom of the pistons rust. And then when people put a heavy load in the back of a C5 and the suspension drops down, this part pushes the piston back into the cylinder. The rust then scores the seal, then you've got a leaking cylinder. So it's a shame that they did away with that. Yeah. Really. And you can't put it in because it hasn't got the recess in the gators either.
So there you go. That's how cars have improved over the ages by going backwards.
I've just taken the piston out, and sadly, what I was just saying about C5s not having the felt seal to keep them lubricated, this one has obviously had some moisture in it. And I've just wire-wheeled this just to see the extent of the problem, and that's quite rough along there. So if we put it back in, it's going to wear those seals out. So really, that needs a good second-hand piston putting in it.
Righty-ho.
This could be the problem with the other side.
Okay, well, looks like we might do a pair of those then.
Now this could actually be the problem, and the return pipe is passing it to the other strut. Right. Okay, so we will check this on the other side, but that should be done.
Okay, right, we will do that then.
So there we go, that's a decent piston. Right. No markings on that at all.
So yeah, that is a fair contrast, I would say. Look at the state of that.
Sorry, it's the wrong way around.
Oh, there we go.
That's
looking a lot better. Now, one thing I just noticed is that when you lift this suspension arm, this one lifts up, but it's fully independent suspension. But it turns out the anti-roll bar is here. It goes right through the middle. It hasn't got an external bar. So that's what's linking the two sides. And apparently a bit of a pain, because if you don't set that anti-roll bar up properly, you end up with a lopsided car. Whereas I've merely got a lopsided exhaust, which is something I'm going to try and remedy today, because that should be a fair bit lower. Well, this is the one on the near side, and that's kind of looking like how they should look. So that's encouraging. So could it be that the leak on the near side was actually being caused by the offside?
Yeah.
Right, because it's the same return system.
It's linked up.
Right.
In the middle of the subframe at the back, you've got a junction. So the two nylon pipes meet, and then the one from the front of the car links to it.
Right. Because we were seeing a lot of pressure here. And certainly a lot of fluid, more than you'd expect. So hopefully we've cured it, but who'd have thought it, eh? Fix the other side to fix this side. We hope. We'll get it back together and test.
Yeah, I'll clean this up and put new seals in it, I think, Ian, and then...
Well, we might as well now we're here. On closer inspection, this is starting to degrade. So now's the time to replace that as well. Fortunately, there are spares on the shelf. She is pressurising back up. Now we can check whether she's still leaking.
The novelty never wears off.
We've got slightly distracted at this point because the engine is feeling very lumpy on tick over, and we've just done a quick check of the electrics. The ignition side of things is checking out, so we're just checking the valve clearances. I say I'm just standing here holding the camera, getting slightly distracted by flashing LED lights. So what are the gaps on the GSA?
About 0.15 on an inlet, 0.2 on a 0.2 on the exhaust.
Right, we shall see what it actually is. Yes, this is where the starting handle comes in very useful. One of the last production cars to have a starting handle.
That's got a tight tappet, my friend.
Aha.
That's 0.15, it won't go in there.
Right, that could be our issue then.
Yeah. No, still there.
Still a bit chugger, isn't she? But at least we know the valve clearances are now correctly set. So we know the problem is this back cylinder, because when we take the HT lead off, there's no difference. But spark's good, compression's good, valve clearances are good. So now is it a leak on the inlet? Not very easy to get at the joint centre here. Oh, it's definitely...
There you go.
There we go, found it. Inlet manifold. You can hear the revs rising because it sucks the WD.
Right, this is the time, Ian, where we've got to hope and pray that the offside front exhaust pipe is not going to break.
Right.
Okay? Because that's another thing that's going to just massively...
Yeah, how many clamps are there in the engine bay on one of these?
How many what? Clamps.
Variously.
Well, on the front pipe, you've got 4 clamps. You've got one on each side on the front pipes to the manifold, and then it goes off to the Y pipe, and you've got a clamp on there, and then you've got the preheat pipes, which have got a clamp on the bottom, and this is the clamp for the top, and then it's the same style clamp on this side, but this one links to the link-off pipe on the offside front pipe, and that's the one we've got to be concerned about, because you normally go to undo it, and you turn it, and then it just pulls out the front pipe, and then you have to put a whole new front pipe in it. So
let's hope we're not going
as long as that comes out, we'll be all right.
Keep your fingers crossed, people. Genuine jeopardy.
It's moving.
Are we getting lucky?
Let's get some spray in that joint. Yeah, lovely.
Oh,
Right.
phew.
That's good.
Panic
Okay.
over. The old gasket is out. Apologise for the flickering. LED lights do set it off a bit. So yeah, we shall put a new gasket in.
That's better. Feel it instantly.
Oh yeah, that's purring now rather than rocking.
Yeah.
She goes for a little test drive. I'm just going for a test drive. Rob's just been for a test drive. We're just trying to see if it's made any difference. But I mean, I'm pottering around slowly in a way I just couldn't do before. A couple more G's sat here, beige and jade green. Lovely. Oh yeah. That has made quite a difference to how this car behaves when driving slowly. It has been driving me absolutely up the wall, but it's been very jerky, and that's because it's getting an overly lean mixture on one of the cylinders there. So it's effectively cutting out, and that's how it's been feeling like. We're now going to see if we can sort out the exhaust blow. So down she comes. The exhaust silencer is finally straight, so that pleases me greatly. And the joint here where the Y pipe comes in from the engine has now been reset. So hopefully that's the exhaust blow gone as well. So a fruitful visit in all. Just going to jump into the future here because it is the following morning, and here we go. We're going to start Giselle up and see how she sounds, because previously she has been somewhat flatulent when starting. So I'll give her some choke. Let's put her in neutral, and here we go. Oh, almost, Giselle. Come on, wakey, wakey. Oh, that is so much better. Yeah, that's a lot better. A lot smoother. And back end's starting to go already. Here comes the front. Marvellous. So yeah, she's doing very well. Just need to deploy the windscreen wiper. So, because she has wipers on the side, you see. It's definitely feeling a bit autumnal today. Even has mirror wipers, just like some of them fancy Nissans, I think it was, or was it Toyota? Oh, it's sounding a little overchoked there. This is what you have to do with older cars. You have to find a happy place on the choke. But yeah, beautiful rear wiper action here. Look at that. And the other thing we're going to do is drive her forward and see if she's left a little hydraulic puddle, because I'm very much hoping she hasn't. There we go. Might even give her headlamp wipers as well. Look at that. All mod cons. Give her a bit of a clean today, I hope, ahead of the East Coast Retros meet. Let's deploy wipers. Yes, left-hand drive wipers on a right-hand drive car. Gonna need a bit of heat up on that windscreen today, so we're doing that there. Pull around the corner here. This mount has fallen off the windscreen again. That was rubbish, and now it's the moment of truth. And the news is good. We got some moisture that's come out the exhaust this morning, but I would expect a hydraulic puddle here, and we got nothing. And again, I think that's just water, because of the angle she was sat on. But, ooh, you're quite large. So yeah, looks like that was good. Right, let's head back to Chevronics. Well, there we go. Giselle is much happier, so that's good. She's all finished and ready to go. But we're going to have a quick talk with Rob about Chevronics and have a look at some of the cars he's got out the back. Now, we've come out the back, which is the most interesting place perhaps here. There's the H-van I drove last time I was here. But I wanted to have a bit of a chat with Rob just to say, what is the Chevronic story? How did it all begin?
Well, it began 30 years ago next year.
Gosh.
I started the business, I can't really call it a business, it wasn't a business. I was selling a few second-hand parts from a lock-up garage. So it was part-time, very much part-time from 1992 up to 1990, end of 97. And then I became full-time in January 98 when we moved into the Arlesey workshop. Back then it was very much servicing, repairing everyday cars, everyday Citroens. Not so much Peugeot, it was mainly BXs and AXs at the time, and a few GSs. GSAs by that time had actually, were sort of like disappearing, they'd become classics.
Yeah, but their survival rate was so low.
It was, but yet now you think 30 years on and we've still got BXs as everyday cars. It just shows how better built they were, bodily. So we were just a Citroen specialist, an independent Citroen specialist, servicing late Citroens. But then after a few years I realised we needed to get an infrastructure set up for GS spares, because we were dealing with rusty bits, couldn't get the bits, but yet when you went to France there was all these rust-free parts in the scrapyard. So I did bring a lot of bits back, and that's where the remanufacturing started really. And then we started doing it into the BXs, and it's grown into other models.
Yeah, I mean, the BXs, I know personally, because I used to own BXs, and you were starting to invest in them when they were still bangers. They hadn't yet made the jump to classics. That's right. And yet you were already starting to invest in them, things like octopuses and components that you just couldn't get anymore. And the sort of components that would just stop you being able to use the car completely.
Yeah, I mean, it was scary, and it's still scary when it comes to the tooling. Paying out for tooling is several £1,000s, and even with the octopus pipes for the BXs, you think, oh, am I doing the right thing? It's a silly thing to think, really, because Citroen stopped making them. No one else made them.
No.
We were the only ones making them. Well, still are. The only ones in the world making them. And I think we've sold 750 of them up to now, approximately. So how many of those would have got scrapped?
Yeah.
A lot would have got repaired, or someone would have come up with some sort of repair, but a lot would have been scrapped. But now, over the last few years, we've found that a lot of the good Citroen independents retired.
Yes.
So nowadays, we're getting people from, a bigger distance coming to us for their servicing and repairs. And, our parts are shipped worldwide to as far as Japan, Australia. They go and South Africa as well. So it's become a world-renowned business. And we're not just doing the local cars, which is what we were doing back in the late 90s.
Yeah, it was good to specialise. Now, while we're here, we've got some very interesting cars
Yeah.
here. We've got the Singer Vogue I
That's
drove
it, yeah,
last
that's the
time
one
I
you
was here.
tested.
But you've got your estate here.
Yeah, my Paulie estate.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
such a rare sight to see a Singer Vogue estate.
It's a very original car. I think it's got about 69,000 miles on the clock. And going on the interior, I think it's probably original. It actually drove really well when I first put it on the road. The paintwork's gone. The metallic paint is just very flat now, and the wheel arches are rusty. It does need restoring bodily. But my son's just come back from Derbyshire in it. He used it with his, he took 3 of his other mates in the car, and they had all the camping gear in the back and
wow.
the trailer as well. And they took it
Yeah.
all the way to Derbyshire. But it's got a
Brilliant.
bit of a running fault that we need to get it in for. But yeah, so we've got the 3 Vogues. We've got another one in the workshop. My other Vogue saloon that is currently being restored. You remember the AX diesel? We've tried to run it, and the diesel pump had water in it at some stage, so it was rusty. So we've had to get the diesel pump refurbished and the injectors done. So that's waiting to come in to have that refitted, but we just don't have time at the moment. Sorry.
This DS,
The DS. Yeah.
Wow.
What do you think to this?
it's crispy.
Yeah, the poor thing. It's seen better days. The door's it's a little bit loose, but it was.
Oof, yes, that's an aroma.
Yeah, you could say it's.
Even the wiper blades have rusted away.
Oh yeah, look. It's been off the road since 1989, 1990. Been in a garage that, as far as I know, was a damp lock-up style garage. So it's very rusty underneath. It won't go back on the road. I mean, it could go back on the road if someone really wanted it to, but there's no need really. It's just not
No, I
viable.
can imagine that would
really,
be
with
a
other ones.
frightening amount of work.
So when we get time, we just want to slowly strip the spares off and put them on our online shop.
Well, what a shame.
It's a
Poor
shame,
thing.
yeah. I hate seeing cars get broken up when they get to this age, but it's just not viable when you can get a perfectly good D for a few £1,000s. This would just swallow so many thousand. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, not the easiest of cars to restore.
No, this one's got a bit of a funny story to it, as we often find. We seem to have a thing with BXs coming in, dead cars, almost ready to just be broken up, and then the shell scrapped, and then they get a new lease of life. We've had a couple like that now, and I bought this and another car for Guy down in South London. It's sat here for a year now. We've tried to sell it and we couldn't sell it, and it's something that we just decided we really need to just break it, sadly. And the guy that sold it to me, he's come back and he said, I want it back, and I want it, I don't want to use the words restored, but he wants it recommissioned. So it was originally, it started life as a BX19 TRS, and it's got a diesel engine in it. So he wants to put the 1900 carburettor engine back in.
Oh well, put it back to spec.
So we're just waiting on time to get it in the workshop to do it for him. So he's, I think.
Yeah, because it's great. I mean, the paint's gone very.
Yeah, the paint's bad, but I think structurally it's fine. But
yeah, around the
with
windscreen pillars, it all looks good.
I think we sold it for the same price as what we paid for it, really. But he's gonna recommission it, which is nice. So we get quite a few like that, Ian.
Excellent.
It's another one that really needs to find a home. It's a It was a workhorse, gentleman that owned it in Coventry. And the engine went bang. I assume the timing belt's gone on it. But
TXD, is it?
TXD, yeah, 19 late one, L-Reg. Paintwork's not good, but I don't think it's rusty underneath. Needs an engine and can become someone's workhorse again.
Yeah, they are such practical cars.
Yes, that's
Having
right.
owned many BX estates, as very good workhorses myself.
Yeah, they're brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant machines.
Super. Well, thanks for letting us have a nose
No
around.
problem.
It's good to know a bit more about the business.
No,
there will
fine.
be a test coming on this very Renault 4, which I'm looking forward to. I've not really spent any time with a Renault 4. So as a confirmed 2CV since the age of 18, it's going to be a very interesting test. So that was our visit to Chevronics. We've been very busy since. We've been all the way over to the East Coast for East Coast Retros. Now we're back on the West Coast. It's been an exhausting few days. We've clocked up a lot of miles. I was recording a vlog as I went, so that will be on the Hubnut channel. Do head over there and subscribe if you haven't done already. That should be out fairly soon. But otherwise, yeah, I'm really pleased. The work Chevronics did transformed the way this car drives. It is now so much better. So thank you very much to Chevronics. Thank you to watching. Don't forget you can head to the store for lovely merchandise. I shall see you in a future video. Farewell. Just going to leave you the view, to be honest.